Hello and welcome back to the Marky channel, another video where I'm going to be wearing a hat because my forehead is even redder than the last video and I don't appreciate the comments, so you know what, it's hiding today. But anyway, if you are new here, please do subscribe. It takes 2 seconds, scroll down, you click one button, it's completely free. Why wouldn't you? It'll make my day. Thank you. But yeah, either way, today's video is going to be another topics video where we start off with the smaller topics and work our way up. We haven't actually got that many topics a day, but especially towards the end, we've got some longer topics that I do want to actually talk about here, so it's going to be a bit of an interesting one. So maybe more serious conversation, so maybe not. You'll soon find out, I guess. I don't know why I always explain this. I mean, you're gonna watch the video, right? But yeah, either way, ladies and gentlemen, starting off with the first topic, okay? We have Jeanette McCurdy, which is not someone you'd probably expect me to talk about in a YouTube video. Now, the reason is because Jeanette's actually uploaded a video to YouTube talking to the Dolan Twins, and if you remember, the Dolan Twins quit YouTube about, what, 6 months ago now or something along them lines? Because they just weren't enjoying it anymore and they wanted to focus on themselves more. They tried going to the podcast. For some reason, they obviously didn't enjoy that much, so they stopped that as well, and they just quit YouTube and just vanished, basically. Well, Jeanette actually uploaded a video with the Dolan Twins and spoke about how their life has been since they quit YouTube.
I can imagine. I'm sure, though, have you had like this difficult kind of curve where you guys have been on the internet for so long, you're famous from things that you did on the internet. Do you feel like, oh God, that's going to slip away? Like, are you worried about some level of fame or any of that slipping away? Or are you just like, no, man, I'm doing me?
First things first, before they do actually say anything, bloody hell, look at them fucking beards. Now, this is a problem because they are younger than me and I physically cannot do that. That just doesn't work on my face. I mean, if I didn't know any better, I would have thought that they've been gone for about 10 years. It's like, do you know when you're younger and you're watching like your favorite Nickelodeon show, and then so long later when you're in your 20s, you see that person again for the first time since you watched that show when you were younger, and they're a completely different person. They're an adult, and for some reason you just assume that they would never become an adult. This is what it's like. This is like when I first saw that Drake and Josh have got older, although Drake isn't really someone we can mention right now, is he? So let's say Josh. We like Josh.
Think of, I guess, fame and having an influence as like something that I don't really hold personally valuable. Like, I don't care if people like think that I'm famous and recognize me for being famous. I just appreciate the voice that it's given me and the ability to invoke change and things like that. So
wow,
I'm trying to like figure out, that's kind of like the battle that I'm going through in my head. Is like, I don't want to let it slip away because I still want to be able to make a change, but I just want to make sure that it's like the right thing for me.
So as you can see straight away, it does seem like they quit or took time away from the internet for very good reasons and wanting to focus on themselves. And I think it's something that a lot of YouTubers could probably do with. I feel like I could have probably done with this at one point, not now anyways, but at the beginning of the year, and I was in a really bad mental space. I would have loved to do this, but obviously me and the Dolan Twins, we earn a different type of money, okay? I can't afford to do this, whereas they probably can. But what it does mean is that they have stepped away for good reason, and I respect that, to be fair. It's not because of like, fuck this, YouTube's boring. They seem to have done it for a really good reason.
It became toxic to my lifestyle. Like, I'm a very private person.
Yeah.
There was a lot of things that happened that, you know, I haven't been able to speak about for one reason or another that just have like kind of messed with me in my head. And so it's like, it's almost like I'm dealing with trauma in that area. And I'm just trying to figure out how to navigate around it so that I can still use my voice for good.
So there you have it. Okay, there's like a slight explanation. Obviously, this video is a lot longer. This is 50 minutes of them talking through it. If anyone is interested in it, I'd actually recommend it. I always find it interesting to see people who have been a big part of YouTube kind of taking a step away and talking about life after YouTube, if you will. I mean, they might be going back, to be honest with you, but from what they've done since they actually last uploaded their video, it's quite interesting to hear. But yeah, just to finish the topic, let me know in the comment section, do you think that a lot of other YouTubers should do this? When we hear YouTubers saying they're going for a bit of a rut and whatnot, do you think this is something that a lot of YouTubers should do? Not even just YouTubers, people in general. Like I said, it's really difficult for the exact same reason I mentioned earlier why I wouldn't be able to do it, because if we are working somewhat normal jobs and we're not earning Dolan Twins money, you can't obviously take away from work for 6 months and survive realistically. So it is a bit tougher, but yeah, let me know your thoughts. And now for the next topic, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be talking about hate-free on an episode of Families. Yes, that's families, not frenemies, in which Ethan is actually talking to his mother and his father, I believe, about James Charles and about that scandal that I'm sure you've all heard of by now.
Problem with James Charles, too. He got in trouble for this before.
Right.
And he said, I'm not going to do this anymore. And then he got in trouble for it again.
Right.
So it's almost like he can't help himself going after the younger guys.
Well, there's no consequences. There's no major consequences. And when you watch his video about, you know, his mea culpa, oh, I'm going to apologize and explain the whole thing. What's his motivation? I'm lonely. I'm desperate to meet someone. So desperation is excuse for constantly going after underage boys. And
Now, first things first, before we do again what you're saying, I have no idea why they've put his father into a closet when they've got a set. I'm a bit confused what's going on here. But what he says is 100% true, okay? 100% true. There really isn't, for some reason, a lot of consequences about this. I mean, James Charles is going to be fine. He is fine right now. He can go on, carry on uploading to YouTube. And no one's really going to give a shit in, like, maybe a few months' time. I think people are already stopping giving a shit about this, to be honest. Because that's all apparently you need, is, like, a little shitty excuse like, I'm lonely or I'm desperate is the words he actually used. He said that I was desperate. And then he did a little sudden pause to the camera to put emphasis on the fact that he was desperate. And that's a really good reason why he would go after underage boys. And it really doesn't make any sense. I really struggle to understand it. And like Ethan just said there as well, it's not even the first time. It might be the second. It might be the third. Obviously, we know 2 confirmed from him. But who's to say there's not more? I mean, obviously, people already think there is more. But yeah, at least 2.
it just happens over and over again. I think he has a deep-seated desire to be caught and
Whoa.
face some consequences.
Really?
As kind of a way to cure himself, perhaps?
You think he wants to get caught?
Well,
I
he
disagree.
just...
Yeah, I would definitely disagree with that. I did agree with the first bit of the statement, but I don't think James Charles wants to get caught. Can't imagine most people wake up in the morning and go, you know what? I want the world to think that I'm a nonce. It's not exactly something you inspire to be, realistically, is it? But I guess there's fucked up people in the world, so who bloody knows?
is doing
He's
more
so
and more
brazen.
obvious things. It's so brazen, like the thing
Interesting.
with...
Now, one thing that I will actually potentially agree with on here is if you were to say that James Charles maybe gets off on the fact that he's doing something wrong and that there's a chance he may get caught, but I don't think he actually wants to get caught. He just might like that. He's a bit fucked up, clearly, for the fact that he's done this numerous occasions right now. And obviously, there's the stuff that happened ages ago where he was like pressuring straight boys or whatnot. I think he does clearly have something in his mind that makes him get off on things that probably shouldn't.
I think people like that can
gamer.
feel privileged, and so that they don't face consequences. But, you know, he's just immature. And maybe he feels more comfortable with a younger boy opposed to an older man because he doesn't feel secure enough to go with a guy that's 23.
You can't excuse predators.
So fucking nuts, by the way. It's such a crazy sentence. The way she was talking about it being like, yeah, you can't get with an older man, you know, they're too mature, you know, they've got their life together, they know what they want to be. And then she goes, 23-year-old. Not exactly that old, is it really? I mean, I'm 22 and I haven't got a fucking clue what I want to do in my life. So I really don't agree on the age. That's probably something you'd say about maybe like a 30-year-old. But weirdly, it makes sense here. Like, she is 100% correct when she's talking about James Charles. For some reason, James Charles clearly has a mental capacity a bit lower than a 23-year-old when he's what, like 21, 22 or something like that. So yeah, it's not exactly the best for him, is it?
Predatory action.
He's continually said that he prefers younger men. He likes to date men who look as young as possible, who are legal. He said that on his
Right.
show. But the
Okay.
problem is, and also, how do you...
Yeah, he said that in Impulsive. He said something along the lines of, like, he's always been attracted to younger-looking boys and that he's got with boys who are in... Oh, God, I'm going to get the thing mixed up because it's US to UK. Right, bear with me here. I believe he said, and like I said, this could be so wrong because I don't really know how the US education system works, but I believe he was talking about boys that would be like our equivalent of like a first-year uni student or maybe like a last-year college student. I don't really know how it works, but basically people who've just turned 18, okay? So that's like his thing. He just wants to get with someone who's just turned 18 and he doesn't want to be with people who look older, which is really, really fucking weird. If he dated an 18-year-old, obviously no one would care because that's completely fine. But the fact you're going out of your way to be like, right, I need someone who's just turned 18 and then looks really young, it's really fucking weird. But yeah, either way, let me know if you agree with what Ethan's parents have said here. Obviously, they both had slightly different opinions, so let me know who you agree with more, I guess. Or if you have a completely separate opinion, please let me know in the comment section down below. And now for the last topic, ladies and gentlemen, we have a bit of an update on the David Dobrik stuff. I mean, we haven't really spoke about him in a while. But Natalie Noel, his assistant and his, like, longtime best friend, was actually on the BFFs podcast, and she was actually asked about the David Dobrik stuff, and I'm pretty sure this is the first time she's really spoke about it, bar maybe, like, a few messages on Instagram or something like that. The first time she's properly spoke about it.
Because he went through all the shit, left social media for a bit. He's back now. Like, he basically got canceled, but not canceled. Heavy allegations. So, again, I'm sure you've gone over it. What was your take on this whole thing with him?
You know, It's tough, and I've never like talked about it publicly.
Really? She hasn't talked about it. Wow.
Yeah, no. This is like the first podcast I've done, but thank you for getting right into it.
I love the sidetracking, by the way. So what's your thoughts on David Dobrik? You know, when he got cancelled and people were saying he was a criminal? You know, it was my first podcast, so I just want to say thanks for that. You know, it's my first time talking into a microphone like that. So I will get into your question, but first of all, let me just tell you guys how grateful I am to be here right now. It's okay, Natalie. It's okay. We'll bear with you for a second.
You know, it's probably
the burning
elephant
question,
in the room.
yeah.
Right,
sure.
right. Just cut through the bullshit.
Let's
real
get
quick.
it over
Yeah,
with.
I mean, you know, I'm probably the closest person to David, period. So I know him the best out of anybody. And I think it's really shitty. I think everything that happened was really shitty. And he's a really great guy. And it sucks when you see somebody that's like actually a good person being accused of really terrible things that, you know, there's only so much I can say right now, but yeah.
Sorry, that was just such a weird answer. Like, she answered that as if it was like a secret project people have been working on. Like, you know when YouTubers are like setting up like a tour or something, they first mention it like, oh, you know, can't really talk about it all right now, you know, it's a bit of a secret. She kind of like answered it like that, except it wasn't a tour. It was actually a lot of illegal things going on in their group, but each to their own.
Everybody, like all my friends are great. So I love them. I don't know what more to say.
So based on that answer, and obviously I don't know the behind the scenes of the legal shit or whatever, but based on that, it sounds like you stand behind him like 100%.
Yeah, he's my best friend.
She knows him the best. We don't,
Like the answer.
we don't know anything.
Like the answer. Loyalty. Love it.
Can I tell you something that I said on something I said about David Dobrik before any of the shit hit the fan, all right?
Sure.
I know what this is.
Yeah, this was a while ago, too.
Yeah, it was before there was anything. You never heard anything about him, like with girls or anything. It was so quiet. And I said, anything that is, I'm the opposite. I have tons of shit out there that I'm not happy that's out there, but it's out there. But I'm like, anybody who's this famous.
God, I feel like this guy mentions the fact that he's got like sex tapes, like every fucking episode I ever watched this show, by the way. So Dave Portnoy, I believe, has got like a sex tape release because he always fucking references it. He's always like, whenever conversation about girls comes up, he's like, yeah, so, you know, back in my day, there was like a sex tape that got released or whatnot as well. I'm not very happy about that, but now let's get back into the topic we're actually talking about. Like, yes, we get it, Dave. I'm sure you're very proud of that.
And this well-known, who you never, he's squeaky clean. There's got to be something that we don't know. Like, nobody's that squeaky clean. It's almost like to be that squeaky clean, you're hiding shit. That was before anything hit the fan. Like, he can't, nobody is that clean. But you never heard anything. And
now, as much as Dave Portnoy is a bit of a weird bloke, he is kind of right there. Like, David Dobrik had nothing about him. Like, there was no negative thing you could ever see on the internet about David Dobrik. He was just a happy-go-lucky guy. He wanted to give money to people, and girls would hit on him in videos, but he wouldn't want that because all he cares about is the content. Like, basically, he was meant to be seen as, like, the perfect guy, which obviously doesn't exist. But even then, I think this whole story, it has nothing to do with the fact that he was seen as squeaky clean, and people were just like, oh, now there's something to talk about, let's talk about it. There was a lot of fucking serious stuff that was going on here, specifically with that Dom guy, who still, by the way, comments like jokes on people's like Instagram posts. I see it all the time at the minute, and he's just like making jokes about the situation. I'm like, yeah, you probably deserve to be in jail at this point. Like, there's no real doubt in my brain anymore.
I mean, no, I understand your point. I mean, I feel like David's pretty much an open book on the internet. He just like, he isn't doing weird shit behind the scenes. He's just like a normal average dude, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, even the shit that went down, like, it's really about another dude. Like, another guy did something. David just happened to...
Right, so there you have it. That's, like, Natalie's kind of side of it, I guess. Like, she's saying, look, it was about Dom more than anything. David was guilty by association, as they go on to say. Let me know your thoughts. Do you agree with Natalie on that? Do you not agree? Because, obviously, I think a lot of people will disagree with that because there was a lot more to it. Like, why didn't David stop it type of thing. So, yeah, let me know your thoughts down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree on everything we spoke about in today's video, on any of the topics? And, yeah, I think I'm going to leave the video here. So if you did enjoy, please do leave a like down below. Subscribe if you're new as well. And I guess until tomorrow, because I'm uploading daily, I'll see you guys in a bit. Alright, good.